Hey, welcome back to some more book reviews. These are the rest of the books that I read in June, and we'll just jump right into it. So the book No One Is Talking About This by Patricia Lockwood is beautiful. I loved it. It was gorgeous. It's following a woman who has become maybe Twitter famous, I guess, and she just tweets funny things all day. But the first half of the book, I hated it. But I think I was supposed to. It felt like I was falling down a dark pit of Twitter. Everything that doesn't mean anything. She calls the internet the portal, and it reads almost as a dystopian future where nothing means anything, nothing is important. It feels dark, it feels horrible. And then the second half of the book, it's just such a strong juxtaposition because this woman, her sister, has a baby with some very difficult medical problems and isn't going to live long. And that half of the book is beautiful. It's why is everyone talking about the latest celebrity to go on a juice cleanse, or look at this picture of this dog and we're gonna call him a chunky boy, or whatever else. Why are we focusing on that when no one is talking about the beauty of this baby that came into the world? And it was beautiful. Like, I loved it. I thought it was really well done. It made me think about the important things. It made me feel that love for the baby, just shining a ray of light through the darkness of the meaninglessness of being very online. And I thought that was beautiful. I do have to give a little disclaimer because it feels like going straight into Twitter and straight into being very online. You are getting some things that are a little bit crass. It's a very good grouping of everything you can find online. I don't know if this would be for everyone, but I loved it. I thought it was really well done. Okay, so I read Celestial Bodies, and I feel bad. I don't think I liked it very much. I just didn't really enjoy it. I kept waiting for it to make sense and come together, but it never really did that for me. So this follows a family in Oman, and there's some different sisters and their relationships. You kind of get a whole family tree. The way it's told is interesting because it jumps back and forth through time. So you get one chapter where someone is dying, and the next chapter they're a little girl. It's very confusing, honestly. And I just couldn't ever figure out what the main central theme or plot was even. It just followed kind of different people's lives. You do get a lot of different looks into different parts of society, which I thought was interesting. I think my problem with this is that it was originally written in Arabic, and I just think the translation wasn't very engaging. And maybe it's better in the original language, but I couldn't really get into it. I didn't really like it, so I don't recommend this one. If anyone's had different thoughts on this book, please let me know, because I think it went over my head. Maybe I just did not get this one. I read 84 Charing Crossroad by Helene Ham. And this was a cute book. It was very sweet, lighthearted. It is a collection of real letters that Helene wrote to a bookshop in London, and also the letters that they wrote back. So you can see the friendship that developed over the course of about 20 years. Writing back and forth, sending gifts and books, and just watching that friendship develop. It's beautiful, it's very cute. Helene never visited London and never made it out there to go visit her friends that she made, but you can still see the strength of that friendship. So it was very cute. I do recommend it if you want something short, sweet, fluffy, but real. It's, a real friendship, how people can come together even though they live so far away. So I did like this one a lot. The book, The Hungry Tide by Amitav Ghosh, is not my favorite. We follow Pia, as she goes to India. She's a young scientist and she wants to study river dolphins. So she's off on her adventure. We also follow the timeline of Kanai, and he is going back to a remote island to visit his aunt, who has some papers for him from his uncle who has passed away. And both of their lives kind of come together, and you learn a lot. There's a lot of description about the scenery and the rivers and the people. And so if you want to learn about geography and this place and maybe a little history in India, this book is fine for that. As characters go, I did not like it. I feel like I never really got to know or care about any of the characters. The man Kanai had a bit of a almost misogynistic tone, and from the very first chapter of his perspective, it was really off-putting. I think he was supposed to be written that way, but there was nothing that was sympathetic enough that made me think, oh yeah, I connect with him. So, an interesting book for history and geography, but the characters just don't work well and don't ever make a compelling story. So I had a really hard time getting through this. The last half picks up a bit, but it was hard to get through. Don't really recommend. Okay, the book, She Said, Breaking the Sexual Harassment Story That Helped Ignite a Movement, was excellent. 5 stars, completely recommend. It's by Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey, and this follows them breaking the story about Harvey Weinstein in the New York Times. Now, just a few weeks ago, I did read Catch and Kill by Ronan Farrow, which is him breaking the story in the New Yorker. So basically these books are very similar. If you want to know a lot about this case, read both books. I didn't feel bad reading both books. I thought they both had excellent things, different sources, different ideas about what needs to happen. Catch and Kill focused a lot on more of the conspiracy behind helping these powerful men, and She Said focused a lot on the consequences for the women and the systemic changes we need to make in the United States. So both of them, excellent books. I think it's essential that everyone reads one of these. I don't know if you need both. This one might be honestly a little bit better in making concrete suggestions on what kind of change we need to make and maybe having a more clear storyline. It was very, very well researched, well done, excellent book. This also talks a little bit about the Brett Kavanaugh hearings and Christine Ford and her testimony and how powerful that was. So all in all, this was an excellent book talking about sexual abuse and the systems put in place that allow this to happen. So yeah, highly recommend. Very interesting, very well done. One more thing about She Said, I just wanted to read a quote from it because I thought it was very good. So it says, "The United States had a system for muting sexual harassment claims, which often enabled the harassers instead of stopping them. Women routinely signed away the right to talk about their own experiences. Harassers often continued onward, finding fresh ground on which to commit the same offenses. The settlements and confidentiality agreements were almost never examined in law school classrooms or open court. This was why the public had never really understood that this was happening. Even those in the room with long histories of covering gender issues had never fully registered what was going on." So yes, this book is great in talking about what systems we have in place for things like sexual harassment and how they are failing women. Thanks for coming along with me for the books that I've read this last month, and I'll start back up in July. Thanks as always to the beautiful and talented Sydney, and if you want to see more of her amazing skills, check out her Instagram below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.